Sometimes the only way to be seen is to disappear. The moment you let go is when they finally wake up. Isn't that wild? You pour your heart out, show up for them, stay loyal, and remain patient, yet they treat you like you're invisible. But the second you pull away, stop explaining, stop chasing, and stop giving them constant access to your energy, suddenly they're watching, suddenly they care. Funny how that works, huh? Before we go deeper, hit that like button and subscribe, because what I'm about to say might sting a little, but it'll also set you free. Imagine this: you walk into a bakery, and right at the counter, there's a tray of free cookies. No sign, no label, just there. People take a few, maybe eat one, maybe toss the rest. Now imagine beside it, there's a single cookie under a glass dome, with a velvet rope around it and a spotlight shining on it. Limited edition, only one left. Suddenly, everyone wants that cookie. Everyone's curious. Everyone's willing to pay. Why? Because people only value what they might lose. And guess what? That cookie was you. You were always available, always texting back, always showing up. And they got used to it. They thought you'd never leave, so they stopped trying and stopped seeing you until you walked away. When you finally let go, not out of spite, not out of anger, but out of self-respect, that's when everything shifted. That's when they sat there wondering, wait, what happened? Where did they go? That's when they felt the silence. That's when they felt your absence like a punch to the chest. Nah, like a punch to the chest. Let me break something to you, my friends. This world has taught you a lie, a dangerous one, that the more you give, the more they'll love you. That if you just try harder, if you just love them enough, if you just keep proving yourself, they'll finally see your worth. But has that ever worked? No. The truth is, people don't respect what they don't have to earn. That's not love. That's comfort, and comfort makes people lazy. You let go not because you stopped caring, but because you realized you were the only one carrying the relationship. You let go because your peace became louder than your need for their presence. Seneca said, sometimes even to live is an act of courage. Letting go, that's courage, that's strength, that's power. And yeah, I know it's hard. Your mind tells you, what if they forget me? What if they forget me? What if they move on? But here's the kicker. They don't forget. They don't move on. Not when you truly detach. Not when you shift your energy back to yourself. Not when you finally stop giving them what they never earned in the first place. 'Cause now, you're not chasing, you're choosing. You're not available, you're rare. And when people realize they've lost something rare, that's when they start remembering everything they took for granted. So, say this with me. I choose peace. Write it in the comments. Let it sink in. Show them. Show yourself. Show the world. Trust me, my friends, we're just getting started. Number 1, letting go is the beginning, not the end. Sometimes walking away isn't the end of the story. It's the start of your power. Let that sink in. We've been taught backwards. We've been told that letting go means giving up, that walking away means failure, that the moment you stop trying is the moment you've lost. But what if I told you that's exactly when you start winning? You see, letting go isn't weakness. It's not bitterness. It's not bitterness. It's clarity. It's the moment your soul stands up and says, enough. Let me take you there for a second. Picture this. You're holding a rope, and on the other end is someone who keeps pulling, not to come closer, but to test how much you'll hold on. The tighter they pull, the more your hands burn, the more pain you feel. Yet you hold on because you think if you just grip tighter, maybe they'll come back, Maybe they'll stop. Maybe they'll notice how hard you're trying. But what happens the moment you let go? The pain stops, your hands heal, and the person on the other end stumbles because, for the first time, you stopped playing their game. That, folks, is the beginning of your power. Letting go doesn't mean you didn't love them. It doesn't mean the memories weren't real. It just means you finally loved yourself more than the version of you who begged to be chosen. And when you cross that threshold from holding on out of fear to letting go out of self-respect, that's the moment the story flips. Because here's what nobody tells you. People feel it when your energy changes. They don't notice when you send the 50th message. They don't notice when you're still checking in, hoping, waiting. That's background noise to them. But when you go silent, when your name no longer pops up on their phone, when you stop showing up for them like you used to, that silence echoes. Suddenly they're paying attention. Oh wait, where'd they go? Why aren't they texting? Are they over me? You see, my friends, detachment isn't cruelty, it's clarity. It's you realizing that no matter how much you gave, they still didn't see your worth. So now you're taking your worth elsewhere. It's not that you stopped caring about them. You just started caring about you. About you. Epictetus said, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control." And isn't that what you've been doing all this time? Trying to control what's out of your hands. Their effort, their consistency, their respect, their love, all things that were never yours to carry. But the moment you let go, you take your power back. You stop trying to change them. You stop rewriting yourself just to fit into their blurry version of love. You stop begging to be seen by people who only look at you when it's convenient. You stop showing up for people who wouldn't even flinch if you disappeared. And yeah, at first it feels lonely. It feels strange. Your brain is used to the chaos, to the what-ifs, to the constant emotional roller coaster. But that stillness, that peace, that's not emptiness. That's healing. That's space being cleared for something real. For someone who doesn't need to be chased. For someone who sees your value without needing to lose you first. More than that, letting go isn't about them at all. It's about you. It's about the version of you that you buried while trying to be enough. The part of you that stopped laughing the way you used to. That stopped dreaming. That forgot what it felt like to feel light. That forgot that love isn't supposed to feel like walking on eggshells. It's supposed to feel safe, whole, solid. And you don't need to wait for them to give you that. You give it to yourself. You wake up one day and realize you don't miss them. You miss the you that existed before you started shrinking for them. From that moment on, you rebuild piece by piece. You stop texting them. You start journaling. You hit the gym. You read that book. You reconnect with yourself. You find joy in the quiet. You find freedom in not checking your phone. You breathe deeper, you laugh louder, you sleep better. And that's when they feel it. They feel the shift. They feel the weight of your absence. They start wondering if someone else is holding the space they took for granted. They start regretting, replaying, realizing. But by then, you're not where they left you. You're stronger, sharper, softer in the right places, harder to access, no longer available to be hurt by the same hands twice, because walking away wasn't your end, it was your beginning. If you're standing on the edge right now, wondering if letting go means losing everything, let me tell you this, you're not losing them, you're finding you. Say it with me, This is my beginning. Write it in the comments. Let it sink in. Show them. Show them. World. Show the world. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe, because what's coming next, that's when they really start feeling your absence. Number 2, detachment hurts before it heals. The pain of detachment is real, but it's nothing compared to the pain of being taken for granted. That one hits, doesn't it? Letting go sounds strong, powerful, clean, but the truth is, detachment hurts. It doesn't come wrapped in confidence right away. It doesn't feel like a victory parade. It feels like ripping your own heart out. It feels like standing in a storm with no shelter, wondering if you made a mistake. But let me tell you something, my friends. That pain, that ache, that screaming silence, it's sacred, because that pain is proof you finally chose yourself. Picture this. You're holding onto a cactus. Your hands are bleeding. Every second hurts. But you don't want to let go because the cactus is all you've known. You convince yourself, maybe if I grip it a little differently, maybe it'll stop hurting. But it won't. It can't, because the cactus was never meant to be held like that. And deep down, you know. That's what detachment feels like. It's not just about walking away from someone. It's about walking away from a version of yourself who tolerated what you never deserved. And yeah, it aches, because for so long, your brain was wired to need them, to wait for their texts, to replay every word they said, to read between lines that were never meant to be understood. And now in their silence your mind screams, what if they never come back? What if they move on and forget me? What if I just gave up too soon? Let me stop you right there, my friend. That voice in your head, that fear, that's not love speaking. That's trauma. That's programming. That's the part of you that was taught to equate pain with passion. That was told, if it hurts, it must mean it matters. But no more. Pain is not proof of love. If it were, you'd be the most loved person on earth by now. Let me drop a truth bomb on you. The ones who truly value you don't need to see you leave to treat you right. They don't need to lose you to realize your worth. And if someone only wakes up when you go silent, they were never really asleep. They just didn't care enough when you were present. Seneca once said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." And tell me honestly, how much time have you wasted hoping someone would become who you needed them to be? How many nights did you lose sleep wondering if you were too much or not enough? Detachment hurts because it challenges every lie you've believed. It says you don't need closure. It says you don't need to be chosen to be worthy. It says you can miss them and still move forward. It's like standing at the edge of a cliff, terrified to jump because your mind tells you falling is fatal. But the truth, you don't fall. You fly slowly, unsteadily, but you fly. Every moment you don't reach out, every second you resist checking if they've watched your story or liked your post or finally noticed your absence, is a second you reclaim your freedom. It won't feel good at first. Let's be honest. You'll stare at your phone, you'll write messages and delete them. You'll try to justify reaching out with excuses like, I just want to make sure they're okay, or maybe they just need a little nudge. No, my friends. What they need is to sit in the silence they created. What you need is to sit in your power long enough for it to start feeling natural. Because here's the truth. Pain is part of the detox. You're detoxing from attention that wasn't real, from love that was conditional, from validation that only came when it was convenient for them. And detox hurts, but it's also how you heal. You don't heal by reopening wounds every time they toss you a breadcrumb. You heal by learning to live without crumbs at all and baking your own damn bread. Remember this. You are not healing from the loss of them. You're healing from the version of yourself that accepted so little. Detachment is not about shutting down. It's about shutting out the noise that kept you from hearing your own voice. It's about realizing that your worth isn't tied to who stays or who walks away. It's not measured by how many texts you get, or how fast they reply, or whether they think about you. Your worth is constant. Their inconsistency doesn't change that. So yeah, you'll ache, but you won't break. You'll miss them, but not enough to lose yourself again. You'll want to reach out, but you won't. Not this time, because this time you know better. This time you're not mistaking obsession for love. This time you're not confusing anxiety with connection. And as the days go by, the pain will fade. Slowly, yes, but it will. And in its place, power, confidence, peace. You'll laugh without wondering if they'll hear. You'll enjoy silence without waiting for a notification. You'll look in the mirror and say, I didn't need them to become this strong. I just needed to let go. Marcus Aurelius said, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. And this. This is the moment you find it. In the silence, in the stillness, in the storm after letting go. This is the moment you stop feeding what was draining you, the moment you learn the pain of healing is temporary, but the pain of being taken for granted lasts forever if you let it. So choose your pain wisely. Say it with me, I'm healing for me. Write it in the comments. Let it sink in. Show them, show yourself, show the world. And stay with me, my friends, because next we're going even deeper. Why do they only notice after you're gone? Why do they wake up when it's already too late? You're about to find out. Number 3, why they only wake up after you leave. People don't fear losing you until they feel the silence. That one burns a little, doesn't it? Let's not sugarcoat this. Most people don't appreciate you while they have you. Sadness. They're not blind. They're not clueless. They're just comfortable. They think you'll always be there. They think no matter how little effort they put in, you'll keep showing up, smiling, giving, forgiving. And they get lazy, complacent, entitled. Until one day, you stop. You stop chasing. You stop texting first. You stop explaining yourself. You stop being their emotional safety net. And that silence? Oh, that silence hits different. It's not just quiet, it's loud. In their mind, it echoes, it lingers. And suddenly, the same person who didn't reply to your messages for days is checking their phone every hour, wondering if you disappeared for good. Let me paint a picture. Imagine a light switch in a room. You flip it on every time you walk in. You never question if it'll work. It just does. It's automatic. That's how they saw you. Like a switch, easy, reliable, always there when they needed light. But what happens the day they flip the switch and nothing happens? Now they panic. Now they're slapping the wall, checking the wiring. Because for the first time, the light they took for granted is gone. That's you. They didn't see your presence as a gift. They saw it as a given. And that's why they only wake up after you leave. Because while you were there, they didn't have to try. They didn't have to think. They didn't have to work to keep you. Because your love was unconditional. But your presence, that should have never been. Let me tell you the truth they won't say out loud. They didn't think you'd walk away. They thought you'd always come back because you always did, right? But this time you didn't. This time your silence was louder than all the love they ignored. This time your absence said everything your words never could. This time you weren't punishing them. You were protecting you. And now they're wide awake. Now they feel the cold. Now they realize they were warm because of you. Your care, your consistency, your effort. Seneca once said, while we wait for life, life passes. And that's exactly what they did. They waited for something better, something easier, something more exciting. And while they were busy chasing nothing, they lost something real. They lost you. Let me be clear, this isn't about revenge. This isn't about playing games. You didn't walk away to make them suffer. You walked away because you were suffering and they didn't even notice. Or maybe they did and just didn't care enough. Now they're stuck with that silence. Now they're the ones refreshing your profile, rereading old messages, wondering who's giving you the attention they once ignored. And you're not angry, you're not bitter, you're just done. Because sometimes the real glow-up isn't looking better. It's feeling nothing when they finally reach out for obituaries. And let's be honest, deep down, you always knew this day would come. That they'd only start valuing you once you stopped showing up. That they'd only start caring once you stopped. That's human nature. People crave what they think they can't have, but when something's always there, they get lazy. They assume it'll never leave. And by the time they realize what they had, it's too late. Marcus Aurelius said, when you arise in the morning, think of what a privilege it is to be alive, to think, to enjoy, to love. But they never saw you as a privilege, and now they have to live with that. So, my friends, if you're wondering why they only started chasing after you left, it's because they only felt the fear once they felt the loss. They didn't wake up because they loved you. They woke up because they lost control. Say this with me, my silence speaks volume. Write it in the comments, let it sink in. Show them, show yourself, show the world. Next, let's talk about why your absence becomes your greatest power and how it turns you into the one they can't forget. Number 4, the scarcity effect. Why absence makes you magnetic. What's always available is easily ignored. What's rare becomes priceless. That's the law of value, my friends, not just in relationships, but in life. If you've ever felt overlooked, unappreciated, or treated like an option, this one's for you. Let's talk about scarcity. See, when you're always around, always texting first, always checking in, always showing up, people get used to you. You become background noise, familiar, predictable, and people don't crave what feels guaranteed. They crave what feels uncertain, exclusive, slightly out of reach. Imagine this, you're walking through a store. There's a bin of $10 watches by the checkout. No case, no tags, just there. Anyone can grab one. Nobody's fighting over them, but across the room, there's a sleek glass case. Inside it, one single luxury watch, limited edition. Only a few exist in the world, and just like that, everyone wants it. People crowd around, people whisper, people wonder. Why? Because it's rare, because they can't have it easily. That's the scarcity effect. The harder something is to get, the more the mind assigns value to it. And that, my friends, is exactly what happens when you finally stop being emotionally available to someone who took you for granted. When your energy, your time, your love used to come on demand, and suddenly doesn't. Now you're the watch behind the glass. Now you're not replying in seconds. Now you're not liking every post. Now you're not watching their story, not giving them that little ego boost. And it drives them crazy because they don't know what's going on anymore. You've gone from an open book to unreadable, from comforting presence to silent mystery. And mystery is magnetic. People don't obsess over what they have, they obsess over what they almost had, what they think they can still get but aren't sure. Suddenly, the same person who couldn't make time for you is now checking your page, watching your stories, sending those "Hey, how have you been?" texts out of nowhere, not because they miss you deeply, but because your absence made them question their place in your life. Let's break the illusion here. They didn't wake up because they matured overnight. They woke up because the certainty they had in your love is gone. And the mind doesn't value certainty. It values scarcity. As long as you were always there, they didn't have to think. You were easy to reach, emotionally available, predictable. And let's be honest, predictable isn't exciting to most people. It's taken for granted. But now that you've pulled back, now that you're focused on you, now that you're not handing your presence away like a free sample, they feel the shift and they don't like it. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself." And that's what they can't understand. That now you're no longer chasing happiness in someone else's attention. You found it in your own peace, and that makes you rare. You see, most people are addicted to being pursued. They love the attention, the validation, the control. But the moment you step out of that game, when you go silent, when you detach, you break their ego. And now you're not just someone who loved them. You're someone they can't read anymore. And that unknown, that's powerful. It makes them think, replay, regret. They didn't realize you were valuable when you were around because they never had to worry about losing you. But now that they do, now that they're sitting in silence, now that they're unsure if you're ever coming back, suddenly, you're priceless. But let me say this, you didn't pull back to become more valuable to them. You did it to become more valuable to yourself, to stop begging, to stop shrinking, to stop handing your worth to people who couldn't hold it. Your absence isn't a game. It's a boundary. It's a statement that says, my energy is not cheap. My love is not free. My time is not unlimited. So don't fear the silence. Don't fear the pullback. Don't fear becoming unavailable to someone who never appreciated your presence, because that's how they start to value you. Say it with me. I am rare energy. Write it in the comments. Let it sink in. Show them, show yourself, show the world. Next, we're diving into the truth that stings the most. When you stop chasing, you see who was really holding on. Number 5, letting go exposes the truth of the bond. When you stop chasing, you see who was really holding on. And let's be real, my friends, that truth hurts. When you're in it, when you're texting first, calling, checking in, fixing every problem, keeping the connection alive, it's easy to believe it's mutual. You think you're both putting in the effort. You think it's a bond, a team, a real connection. But then you stop. You take a step back. You stop being the glue. You stop initiating. You stop carrying the emotional weight for two. And suddenly, silence. That's when it hits you. They weren't holding on. They were just comfortable being held. Imagine a rope bridge with 2 people standing at either end, holding the rope tight so it stays connected. Now, imagine one person lets go, and the bridge collapses instantly. What does that tell you? The other person wasn't holding on, they were just standing there pretending. That's what happens when you let go of someone who is never really there. You see the truth, not the version you made up in your head, not the fantasy, the reality. They said they cared, but care without action is just noise. They said you meant something but meaning. Nothing if it's only said when it's convenient. People can say anything, but it's what they do when you stop trying that tells you everything. Letting go doesn't just free you, it exposes them. Because now they have to put in the effort. Now they have to show up. Now the mask falls off. Marcus Aurelius said, "If someone can prove me wrong and show me my mistake in any thought or action, I shall gladly change. I seek the truth." And that's what letting go does. It shows you the truth, maybe not the one you wanted, but the one you needed. And I get it, it's scary, because deep down you want them to chase. You want to be proven wrong. You want them to show up and say, "I was just scared," or "I didn't know how to love you." Right? When they don't, when they vanish with your effort, that's when you know they weren't connected to you. They were connected to your access, your energy, your attention, your effort. And when that stopped, so did they. It's not your loss, it's your awakening. Say it with me. Real stays, fake fades. Avia do we? Write it in the comments. Let it sink in. Show them. Show yourself. Show the world. Next, we're going deeper into the moment you stop reacting and finally become untouchable. Number 6, when you no longer react, you become powerful. Your silence is not weakness. It's a mirror they can't stand to look into. Let that settle for a second, my friends. People expect noise, they expect chaos, they expect you to cry, to scream, to demand answers. That's how they keep control, by keeping you emotional, reactive, unstable, reactive, unstable. Because as long as you're reacting, they know they still matter. They know they still have a grip on your emotions. But when you give them nothing, when you stop responding, stop explaining, defending, or chasing closure, that's when the power shifts. Picture this. Someone standing in front of a mirror, but the reflection doesn't flatter them. It shows them every flaw, every scar, every crack in their ego. Most people smash that mirror. They get angry because they can't handle what they see. That mirror, that's your silence. It forces them to look inward, to face what they did, to sit in the stillness they never expected from you. Because they thought you'd react, they thought you'd break down and come running back. But now you're calm, you're centered, you've gone quiet, not because you have nothing to say, but because they no longer deserve your voice. And that, my friends, is terrifying to them. Because silence doesn't give them validation, it doesn't confirm their power, it doesn't give them the satisfaction of seeing you hurt. Instead, it gives them space, and in that space, they feel everything they were trying to avoid. Marcus Aurelius said the best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury. And what's more unlike the one who hurt you than walking away in peace? They gave you chaos, and you returned it with calm. They gave you confusion, and you gave them clarity. By cutting off their access to your energy, they played games, and you stopped playing altogether. No reaction, no closure, just stillness. And that stillness, that's where the real power lives. Because now they can't predict you, they can't manipulate you. They don't know what you're thinking, where your head's at, or who you're talking to. They're stuck with the consequences of their own actions, and your silence is the sentence. Let's be honest, folks. It's hard. You want to react. You want to call them out. You want to send that one last text that'll make them realize what they lost. But every time you resist that urge, you grow stronger. You heal a little more. You teach them that access to you is a privilege, not a guarantee. And here's the truth. Reacting gives them power. Silence gives it back to you. They can argue with your words. They can twist your emotions. But they can't argue with silence. They can't spin it. They can't manipulate it. All they can do is wonder, regret, obsess. And that's when you become untouchable. Seneca said, sometimes even to live is an act of courage. And sometimes silence is too, because it takes courage to not react, to not explain, to not defend. It takes courage to choose peace over pettiness, to choose growth over revenge, to walk away without a single word and never look back. Because silence isn't empty. It's full of answers, full of boundaries, full of strength. And they feel it. Oh, they feel it. So if you're in that place right now, sitting in your silence, wondering if it's the right move, let me remind you, they expected your breakdown. They never expected your glow up. Say this with me. My silence is power. Write it in the comments. Let it sink in. Show them, show yourself, show the world. Next, we're stepping into the part that haunts them the most. When your peace becomes the thing they can't replace. Number 7, your peace will haunt them. The version of you that needed them is gone. And they'll miss that version forever. Let that one sting, because my friends, they didn't fall for who you really are. They fell for the version of you that was willing to shrink just to keep them close. The version that stayed quiet to keep the peace. The version that kept giving even when your cup was empty. The version that needed them just to feel enough. But that version of you doesn't live here anymore. Now you're calm. Now you're detached. Now your peace is louder than your pain. And that is what haunts them, because they realize what they lost only after you stopped needing them. They remember the you who would wait for hours, checking your phone, hoping they'd text. The you who made excuses for their bad behavior. The you who over-explained, over-apologized, over-loved. But that version died the day you chose yourself. And here's the wild part. They don't miss you. They miss the control, the attention, the access, the emotional high of knowing you'd always be there, no matter how they treated you. But now, you're not playing that game. Now you wake up and don't wonder what they're doing. Now your silence doesn't come from pain. It comes from power. Now your energy is too expensive to waste on confusion. And that shift, that peaceful detachment, it eats them alive. Imagine someone who used to live in chaos, always stirring the pot, always in control, always keeping you guessing. And now you've gone quiet. You've stopped reacting. You've stopped feeding the drama. You're not arguing, not begging, not chasing. And suddenly there's nothing left for them to feed off of. No fire, no noise, no fight, just silence, stillness, peace. And they can't handle it. Because your peace holds up a mirror, and in that mirror, they see everything they destroyed, everything they overlooked, everything they didn't appreciate when it was standing right in front of them. Marcus Aurelius once said, if you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And now they are distressed because they misjudged you. They thought you'd always need them. They thought you'd never leave. They thought your love was a weakness, but now they see it was your strength all along. And they see what they lost, not because you told them, but because your peace showed them. That peace they laughed at, ignored, walked away from. Now it's the thing they can't stop thinking about. Because now they're stuck replaying it in their mind. The way you used to smile at them, the way you believed in them, the way you stayed even when they gave you every reason to walk away. They miss that version of you, but it's too late. You've evolved. You've elevated. You're no longer chasing people who can't meet you halfway. You're attracting peace, purpose, growth. You've become everything they didn't believe you could become without them. Here's the part they'll never admit. They'll look for your energy in everyone they meet, and they'll never find it. Because your energy wasn't common, it wasn't casual, it was pure, it was built on loyalty, empathy, patience, and they treated it like it was nothing. Now they'd do anything to feel it one more time. But you've moved on, not out of hate, but out of healing. Because true peace doesn't scream, it doesn't chase, it doesn't prove, it removes. So if you've ever felt like walking away was weak, understand this. They don't miss the old you because you were weak. They miss the old you because you were real, and they'll never find that again. Say it with me. My peace is power. Write it in the comments. Let it sink in. Show them, show yourself, show the world. Next, we're talking about the final transformation when you no longer want them back. And that's when the game truly ends. Number 8, the rebirth. When you no longer want them back, there's nothing more powerful than realizing you don't want what once broke you. That, my friends, is rebirth. Not the loud kind, not the dramatic kind, but the quiet, powerful, unshakable kind that happens deep within. It's when your soul finally exhales and says, I'm done. Not bitter, not angry, just done. You see, one day they'll reach out. They always do. They'll send that, hey, how have you been? They'll like your post. They'll say they miss you. They might even apologize. But by then, you'll feel nothing. Not because you don't remember the good times, not because it didn't matter, but because you've healed, you've grown. You've elevated past the version of you that needed them to feel whole. You've stepped into your rebirth. Imagine a snake shedding its skin. It doesn't cry over the old layer. It doesn't try to keep parts of it. It lets go completely because it's outgrown it. That old skin doesn't fit anymore. That's how your heart feels now. You used to need them, their texts, their attention, their crumbs of affection. You thought their presence meant something about your worth. You thought they were the source of your happiness. But now you've learned your happiness was never supposed to come from someone who couldn't even show up for you consistently. Your value was never tied to how much they missed you when you left. Your worth doesn't increase just because someone finally sees it late. That's the lie you've broken. Because before, if they came back, you would have opened the door. You would have smiled, forgiven, tried again, even after all the pain, even after all the disrespect, because deep down you wanted them to choose you. But now you've chosen yourself. And when you do that, everything changes. You see them for who they really are, not who you hoped they could be. You remember how you begged for clarity, how you cried over mixed signals, how you felt small trying to make something work that was never meant to. And you realize you don't want that anymore. Not because you're cold, not because you're heartless, but because you've healed to a level where chaos no longer feels like chemistry, where drama doesn't feel like passion, where being wanted isn't enough unless it's matched with being respected. Marcus Aurelius said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." And your thoughts now? They're no longer about proving yourself. They're about protecting your peace, guarding your energy, surrounding yourself with people who don't need to lose you to appreciate you. That is the real glow up. Not looking better for them, not making them jealous, but waking up and realizing you don't even want them anymore. That's the moment you reclaim it all. And trust me, they'll feel it. They'll feel it in your silence, in your lack of reaction, in the way you don't reply with the same eagerness, in how you've moved on with grace. They'll feel it when they realize they're no longer the center of your universe, and maybe never should have been. Because you're not trying to teach them a lesson, you are the lesson. You are the one who grew without them, the one who healed without closure, the one who let go without looking back. They might come back with words, but you came back with clarity. And that, my friends, is what makes you untouchable. So if you're standing in that moment right now, wondering what to do when they finally come back, remember this: you're not who they left. You've been reborn. Say it with me: I've outgrown the pain. Write it in the comments. Let it sink in. Show them. Show the world. Everything we've built up to now leads to this final truth. The greatest power you'll ever hold is not needing them at all. So here it is. You've let go, you've healed, you've outgrown what once broke you, and now you're standing in your power. That's the real transformation. Not needing them, not chasing, just becoming. Remember this: your silence, your peace, your growth, that's the closure. Let them feel your absence, let them regret your loss, and you keep rising. If this spoke to your soul, hit that like button, subscribe for more, and share this with someone who needs the reminder. You are not to be taken for granted.